Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alim hakim. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-'aliyyil 'azim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak, and welcome again for another reflection upon the Book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during this blessed month of Ramadan, in which we're looking at the different ajzat according to the day of Ramadan. So inshaAllah, this being the 15th day of Ramadan, we wanted to look at something from the 15 juz of the Quran, inshallah ta'ala. So today we're going to be looking at two verses from Surah Isra, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions something that has relevance to each and every one of us. And so inshallah we're going to be looking at the 23rd and the 24th verse within Surah Isra, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says,
وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا إِمَّا يَبْلُغَنَّ عِندَكَ الْكِبَرَ أَحَدُهُمَا أَوْ كِلَاهُمَا فَلَا تقل لهما أف ولا تنهرهما وقل لهما قولا كريما واخفض لهما جناح الذل من الرحمة وقل رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا.
and then the translation of the meanings of those verses is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, and your Lord has decreed that you not worship except Him, and to parents good treatment, whether one or both of them reach old age while with you. Say not to them so much as uff, and do not repel them, but speak to them a noble word. And lower to them the wing of humility out of mercy, and say, my Lord, have mercy upon them as they brought me up when I was small. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, He is reminding us of our responsibility that we have towards our parents. And in particular, He's reminding us of the responsibility that we have towards them when we ourselves become older and more mature, and our parents have become older in years. And so this is a reminder for all of us, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions this kind treatment towards our parents right after He mentions to not associate any partners with Him. And we know that the only sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He will never forgive if a person dies in that state is associating partners with Him. So some of the ulama, they've pointed out that the mere fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed good treatment with the parents after mentioning something so severe and so serious in regards to our iman, is that this shows the significance of our treatment to our parents. And one of the things that we want to note in regards to this kind treatment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that we need to show to our parents is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's not saying that we should do this or we only do this if we feel that they deserve it. But rather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making this a general command. And so this is a reminder for us, is that our kind treatment towards our parents is not based upon whether our relationship with them is good or not, or whether that we feel that they deserve it or not. But rather, this is a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so the reality is that not every one of us is necessarily going to have the best relationship with our parents. And in some cases, a person may have a very toxic relation with their parents, to the point that they may have even suffered abuse from their parents. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that even with that His command is that we show mercy towards them. And so I often remind people in regards to our treatment of our parents, is that even if we're in a situation where our parents may have made mistakes, or they may have done things that were actually harmful to us, is that just as we have things within the religion that we find difficult. For example, for some people it's hard to get up out of bed to wake the Fajr Salat. For some people, fasting is a very difficult situation for them. For other people, spending in terms of zakat and sadaqah, it becomes a difficulty for them. However, they still do it. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded it from them, and they're trying to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, in regards to kind treatment towards our parents, we don't necessarily have to look at it from the standpoint of do we feel they deserve it or not, but we could look at it from the standpoint that I'm doing this to get closer to my Lord. I'm doing this in order for my Lord to be pleased with me. And so, inshallah, this will help to remove any impediments that we may have in terms of treating our parents kindly. And so, this is something to keep in mind. However, at the same time, if there is an aspect of harm that may be experienced from interaction with the parents, is that it's not a requirement that we necessarily have to physically be in their presence. So for example, if a person has parents who may have been physically abusive, then it's not to say that they have to be physically in their presence, but for example, they can send them gifts, or they can call them on their phone, or other things that will be a safe situation for them, but is still following this Quranic injunction. And so this is just a reminder for all of us that part of our aspect of worship is not just with those things that we regularly associate with worship, but also it has to do with our interactions and our relationships with the people around us. And one of the greatest relationships that we are supposed to have and to maintain and try to keep in the best state possible is with our parents. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us of this. And so this is a reminder for myself, first and foremost, and for everyone else, is that our parents should receive the best treatment from us. That our parents, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the verse, is that we shouldn't even say uff to them. And what some of the mufassireen and some of our teachers have mentioned about this saying uff is that they say that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had created a word that was even lighter than that term of uff, then He would have used it. Meaning to say that uff in a way of trying to translate it or to try to put it in English terms, it's the aspect of showing any type of discontentment with one's parents. So it can be similar to like rolling one's eyes or sucking your teeth or anything that would show some type of discontentment with your parents. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, don't even do that. That rather we should pour down a wing of mercy towards our parents and make dua for them, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy upon them as they raised us when we were small. And oftentimes we don't realize the sacrifices that our parents make for us as children until we ourselves become parents. And we see all of the sacrifices and the hardships and the difficulties that we have to go through in raising our children. And so as an adult, seeing the sacrifices and understanding more the sacrifices that our parents made, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to lower our wings of mercy towards them. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who lower our wings of mercy towards our parents, who make us of those who follow this injunction in whatever capacity that we are capable of doing, keeping in mind our own well-being, but making sure that we are following the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in regards to our relationships. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be of those who show good treatment towards our parents, that when they ask us of something, that we should not show any type of discontentment. And even in the case where, for example, because the good treatment of parents is not an absolute. Even in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions is that if they try to get you to associate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that which you do not know, that you're not to obey them. However, even in a situation where we may have to disagree with our parents, or they may try to get us to do something that is not permissible, is that even in that situation, we are to treat them with the utmost respect, and we're to say to them a qawlin nayyina, a very light word, a very soft word. That it should never be a situation, for example, where we raise our voice to our parents, or that we engage in other activity that would not be befitting in terms of showing respect and love and mercy towards our parents. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who show this kindness and respect to our parents. And for anyone who may be interested, there has been a book translated by Sheikh Rami Ansor that is translated as The Rights of Parents, which is a translation of a work by Sheikh Muhammad Maulud, one of the great Mauritanian scholars, where he goes over in a poetic form the rights that the parents have over us. And so I implore everyone, if you have not read that work, that it's something that you should make a part of your library and make sure that we are adhering to the Islamic understanding of proper manners towards the parents. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon our parents. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be good companions for our parents, and may He forgive us for where we have fallen short in terms of our relationships with our parents. And again, Ramadan Mubarak to you all. MashaAllah, we're pretty much at the halfway point of this blessed month of Ramadan. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our himmah during this second half of the month of Ramadan. And may He allow for us to be of those who benefit from the remainder of this month of Ramadan. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الله سبحانه وتعالى أعلم وسبحانه ونعم الوكيل. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.